Why should we study the return of Christ? I break it down into three categories. Number one, pastoral reasons. Number two, theological reasons. And number three, prophetic reasons. Let's start with the pastoral reasons. One, the pastoral reasons are very important. The human heart has crazy dynamics going on, and as the end times approaches and events that are unfolding, there is going to be unique dynamics that we have never quite seen before on planet Earth. In Matthew 13, Jesus says that the wheat, meaning light, and the tares, the darkness, they are growing up together to fullness, meaning it will be the greatest expression of darkness the earth has ever seen. At the same time, we will see the greatest expression of light and glory the earth has ever seen. And that is in the context of the greatest population on planet Earth, meaning the impact of darkness and light will be on a magnitude beyond anything that we could comprehend. It is so much greater than what could have happened even 100 years ago, 150 years ago. There's a unique dynamics in it. In Luke chapter 21, verse 35, it says that the day will come as a snare upon the whole earth to entrap everybody. Nobody can escape that day. And we want to be prepared to be walking victorious through those 3.5 years and not being trapped in our heart in sin and the devil is getting us or whatever it is, that we would walk victorious with Jesus through those years and bring glory to Christ, preach the gospel, power and signs and wonders and revival breaking out. We want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And so we need to address those pastoral issues. Jesus is very clear. Fear, offense, lust, and deception, they will abound on planet Earth in the last days. And we want to know the narrative in order to be able to withstand that. Secondly, the theological reasons. The theological reasons, they are pretty simple. The Bible describes one generation more than any other generation in human history. As a matter of fact, the generation of the Lord's return has 150 chapters in the Bible that talk mostly about the Lord's return. So 51% or more in 150 chapters talk about the Lord's return and the generation in which the Lord returns. He has given us more detail about what will happen in those days than any other generation in human history. The New Testament alone has over 300 verses about the return of Christ. It has 260 chapters, so with 300 verses, that means there's more than a verse per chapter about the return of Christ. It is one of the essential doctrines of the New Testament, and therefore, we need to give ourselves to it. We need to understand it. Even if we don't understand all the details and all the minutiae, we need to know the broad scope and the broad storyline and the broad narrative of God. And the third one, prophetically. We need to know where this is going. Prophetically right now, as we look out into the world, we will see that the trends and signs that Jesus has given us, they are all happening on planet Earth right now for the first time. Jesus identifies different signs and trends in Matthew chapter 24. People categorize them in different ways, but I've identified 17 of them, and all of them are currently happening on a global scale. I mean, I'm just going to give you one. Israel becoming a nation again. That is unheard of. They were 2,000 years outside of the land, and then suddenly they have a country again. And when a nation and a people group lost their home country for 2,000 years, they lose their culture, they lose their language, they lose everything, and they are non-existent anymore. But Israel, for 2,000 years, they have kept their culture. They have kept even the language. Right now, they speak Hebrew again in the land. And the Lord has given them the land of Israel once again. And the Lord in the scriptures says that Israel and Jerusalem will be the epicenter of the end times drama. And so that is a massive sign. For 2,000 years, they were not a country, and now they are a country again. That should alert us, be like, wow, that is a miracle beyond comprehension. And so those three things, pastoral reasons, we need to be prepared in our hearts for the great glory and for the great glory. We need to be prepared theologically. 150 chapters talk about the end times, and we need to be prepared prophetically because Jesus has given us trends and signs, and they're all happening right now on planet Earth.